have required and what is we have been given to us. Note down all the information. Okay, so we are given a job sequence through two serial process, right? And you all remember that this all is provided by Johnson rule, right? So we apply the Johnson rule only. Remember the sequence, we have to find out the sequence, at which sequence we should follow the jobs, sequence of the jobs that require two-step process. That's a two-step process. Hope you remember. We have to find out the least one and then we have to follow that process. That will be a two-step process, right? And the next point is the process one must be done before, the process one should be done before the process two, right? Once one will be done up, then only the process two will start up. And now we start with some case study. And what type of case study is provided to us? That we have jobs, say example, write it over here as job. How many jobs we are provided? We are provided as 5 jobs, A, B, C, D and E. The 5 types of jobs is provided to you, and we have 2 machine, or say we have the 2 process given to us. The process 1, so write it over here as process 1, and the next one is process 2. And the time required for this jobs when they are doing process on 1 and 2, what are the time required is, it took nearby 10 minutes, or taking in hours also, 6, 11, 9, 5. The next one is your 11, 9, 7, 8, and next one is 5. So what we have to find it over here, make it in a range, right? Put it over here. This is the job sequence. Now we have to find out which one do their work in a proper way. So that again, the most important point, that our cost should be come up and the process should be done in a proper way. So what we have to do in this case study, we have to find out the proper job sequence, and this is the Johnson rule. That the most important thing we should remember, when we are applying this sequence, we have to follow the Johnson rule, right? So startup, we have to find out the sequence, write down over here, sequencing. I'm just taking a one sequencing that indicates that my work should be work up in the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Definitely I have to find the sequence, and one sequence with job is there, so I'm just writing one sequencing. If now I'm taking, now using that Johnson concept again, what the Johnson concept says, we have to find out the least value with the process 1 and 2. If the least value come in the process number 1, start with the first one. If it is coming from the process 2, give the sequence at the end. So the least value over here in this question is, find the least value is 5, right? Make it as 6, okay? Now this is 5, so second, last one is a 5. 5 will come up in the last sequence, so I write it over here as E in the last sequence value. Now this one is being deleted, E done up, so highlight this value as E. Now what will be the next least value over here is 6, and this 6 value is came up in the first process 1. So the first sequence will be B, right? Now checking up with the next one, now B done and the E one is done. The next least value, if I am talking about the next least value, 10, 11, 11, 7, 9 and 8. The next least value is 8. That is in which column? The next least value is 7. That is in job number C and the process number 2. So highlight that value, put it over here in the second. So we write it over here C. And if I am talking about C over in this, right? Now C, sequence C is also being done up, right? Now you have to allot which value should be given up to the next sequence. So find out the least value again. The least value after giving the 7 is 8, that is in D, right? So highlight this D value and put it in the sequence number 3. The remaining is only A, so it will be on the second. So this is a sequence that the work should be done B first, and then A, then D, then C and E. Now I have to find out the time, actually what the time is actually required when this job work is done by in this sequence. So this is the way Now we were using the beautiful formula of the Excel, that's VLOOKUP. So start applying with me. I'll help you out how to find out. So I just want to find out the process 1 time required as well as the process 2. Right? So write it over here. Process 2. Now for process 1, first is equals to apply VLOOKUP. That is important. For VLOOKUP, it is showing the array value, what value you have to find out. So just first of all select this job value, all the arrays over here, right? But what value you have to find? First we have to find out the value of B, right? The starting with the B. So select with this V value first of all, as I want to know the processing time of the B, as the B is the first one. So select B, comma, then next point is that you selected B. Now find the value in which box or which an array they find the value of B. Select this array, right? Remember, you have to freeze this. Why you have to freeze this? Because the value remains the same. So you should know the concept how we freeze it with function F4, right? So freeze this array because I can use this value for the further data also. Now, comma, after freezing, what we have to do? Yes, full array has to be freeze up. Just select once again this full array. Select this full array, right? Freeze the value of full array. Why we have freeze this value? Remember, as I have to use this array till my further process. So freezing this value with function F4. Remember, function F4, that is the freezing value, comma. After putting the comma, what will come up? Like this array will be taken from which data? Showing some error, just check me once again. Yes, now we put it a comma 2 and your B, that is in process 1. So we have to go selecting as 2. Why we selected 2? Job is the first column, process 2 is my second column, right? Bracket. Now putting over here, I'm freezing once again because it's showing some error. Now this is the indication, right? Now fine, now you put it in error and the answer is 6. The 6 indicates that when the job B do the work in the process 1, the time will be took up 6, right? Now what I do, I just copy this value, right, and put in for all, so that we have to find out the value. So the time will come up 10, 9, 11 and 6 for the process 1. Now the same step I am finding out for the process B. But remember, when we start up with this, B will, once completed in process A, then for A process, when we are coming to the next sequence, that is A will start their work only when this B will be done up. So just function, put it over here, the value of the first one, that is the time required for doing the work by the B, plus, and now the enter. And then this, copy this value and put it for all this way, right? Now coming up with the next, with the process 2, again is equals to your VLOOKUP, right? Select the value. What value we have to find out in the VLOOKUP? That's for the B value, comma, where we find this B value, that is again selecting this array. Select this array, but you have to make it like function F4, freeze that value, right? Once you freeze this value, that is the most important, comma, when we put a comma, why we are using a comma? Because we want to check in which array it is. So now we will select the 3. Why we selected 3? Because the process 2 is in the value 3. So I select 3, bracket and freeze it, this content, right? I freeze this content now and put an N. That's 9. Right? Then copy this value and paste for all the values. It will be 9, 11, 8, 7, 5. Now one point is noted over here. What the point is? That when we are going for the process 2 and the sequence number 2, that is A is working on, do you feel this work before starting completing your work by the process A? So what we do over here, put in the function F2, I just make some adjustment, like use it max value, maximum of what? Maximum of this 16, that is the process 1, that the process 1 completing A, comma, your process 2 value. right? And then make it a bracket plus your VLOOPUP and then enter it. Now it shows a very good answer because the work can be completed or started only when the value will be done up. Hope you remember when we make all the tables and then we find out in, out, in, out. Yes, you can do this question in that table and find out that the figure is coming the same or not. Right? So this is the sequence which we have find out, and by using the VLOOKUP, we find the processing time required for doing the job sequence in case of a two process. So remember when we doing the numerical question in the Excel, we have to use the formulas rather than putting it in a manually. And you can also verify your answer when you are doing the same question and applying the concept of Johnson, that is in the case of a job when two processes are there, and find it when we do in that Excel, are they coming the same point as it's done right now as well as the manually, right? So